without all the quarreling.
See, I need the quarreling. It's not, if I can't quarrel, I'm not even playing a game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, categories has become my favorite game just for the arguing.
Oh my God! First of all, I don't want to hear you say that, Kabir. I don't want to say that because when we played categories,
y'all are whack for that.
I never saw somebody get so emotional.
Y'all are whack. Y'all are whack. That was whack that day. I'm like, this is not. I can't play with this crew. I don't like this crew. I don't like
this crew. So what? You play with your students now, and you love the game. You just make up shit. Oh my gosh, categories is incredible though. I would tell you, categories is quite incredible. All right, doing some recording now. We should do, because first of all, you need to add me to our email list. Second of all, we need to have
Why do I need to email you? What's the problem?
I know what you're sending people, because I feel like I know you're out here saying, by the way, it's this time. Kabir is taking full control.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But no, what you brought up earlier was a good point. Maybe I would still definitely like to do it when the school year starts. Maybe like once a month, or I don't know.
Wait, which part? The categories, your students?
No. The like what we want to do when the school year starts for this.
I mean, let's take it, you know what I mean, week by week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I would like it to not end, but you know, we gotta see how that actually plays out in real life.
Yeah.
To an extent. Let me pronoun it up here.
Hi guys.
Greetings.
Hey.
Greetings, Mika.
Welcome back.
You've joined, yeah. Okay, just wanted to confirm. Yes, hello.
It's nice to be back.
Good to have you. We like consistency. We like coming here, seeing what's happening, hearing stuff being said, and saying, you know what? I want to hear that kind of stuff again.
Oh yeah.
Really affirming. Wait, is that a water bottle right there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, kind of reminds me of the ketchup, you know what I'm saying, at the diner.
It does. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I actually remind me to get my own water bottle.
You gotta hydrate.
No, for sure.
Self-care. All levels.
I invested in a ridiculous 40-ounce
oh wow.
Campaign. Yeah, this is it's a lot, but it helps me. Kabir and I actually used to, well, he inspired me, I guess, to do the gallon of water a day thing for a while. And so these are 40 ounces. So 3 of these are about a gallon. So I don't need to do a gallon. If I do 80 ounces, I'm good. But you know, some days, you know, if I fill up for it, I try to go for the full 120.
I might need to get something like that, because yeah, it's been hard for me to keep track. I need to I need to be able to track how much I'm drinking, because that'll keep me motivated to do it. Otherwise, I'm just like.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't want to go back to like going outside regularly again. Like when I'm home, I can control what I eat. Control what I drink. I can make sure I work out. Like this is good for me.
It's been really good. My skincare regimen has been on another level these past few months.
Who are you telling? You're glowing.
You're glowing here, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is from the serum I put on since this morning. Like,
because you don't have to go out where all the things are in the atmosphere. By the way, what up, Acosta? Good to see you here, brother, man.
What's up, man? What's up?
Going on. I was hoping, you know, pull up. Hamid, I see you in the building. What's going on, brother?
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, brother?
Everybody got pronouns on there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Want to make sure folks are identified how they want to be identified. You know
I'm a they, so you gotta fix that.
Hey,
yo,
however you want us to refer to you.
One of our homies, Silas, came up here. Was like, "Yo, my preferred pronouns is my guy." It's just incredible. Silas is usually not funny, so I was pretty impressed.
That's some wannabe New York shit. He just got there.
It is. In Brooklyn for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? This came in the mail. Oh, it's a wrap, my guy.
Tolu, what's up, man? He's there, but he's not saying anything. All right, man. You over there. What's up?
Jules in the building.
Finally made it, yo.
While we're here, we are doing some email collection. We try to send out an email at the beginning of the week is what we aim for. I think this one went out this morning. But you know, it's the beginning of the week somewhere. So if y'all are okay with it, we'd love to have you put your email in the chat so we can just send you the topics the week of and also some resources like this week. We just, you know, someone said last time that they didn't really know what was going on with I forgot what it was. I think it was Jada and August Alsina. So we like want to make sure that you have a little bit of the previous context. And it's not all celebrity gossip. Sometimes it's like this week we sent out stuff on Ibram X. Kendi, his book, How to Be Anti-Racist, and just a chapter, not even a chapter, a little excerpt from his book. So emails would be appreciated, most definitely. What are you saying, Cabriz? We get things started?
Yeah, I think we can get started.
Okay. Yeah. First topic is kind of light. Well, first foremost, want to welcome all of you. Welcome back, those who've been here before. Welcome for the first time, new faces. Really appreciate you stepping into the space. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the conversation today and ideally return. We like to start these off with land recognition. Don't have a formal script, but it's just an acknowledgement, especially because a lot of the stuff we talk about is in the realm of liberation, the liberation of peoples, Black peoples, brown peoples. We have to acknowledge the struggle here in the U.S. definitely originally began with the genocide and colonization of indigenous folks. And so we just want to, wherever you are in the world, many of you are generally coming from a place that had formerly indigenous peoples that had been killed and or enslaved and or just taken over. So we just want to put that recognition out there and just put that in the space as well. And yeah, we just want to thank you all for coming back. Said the piece about, giving us your emails if you can. And yeah, we just like a good, productive, interesting dialogue, respecting each other, respecting the space, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. I'm missing anything, Kabir?
No. Thank y'all for putting pronouns. We really do want to center Black trans folks as much as possible. So whether you identify that way or you don't, we just want to honor those folks and make sure everyone feels comfortable in the space. So whatever your pronouns are, please just add them to your name. Thank you, Tolu, for doing that. So yeah, that's it. We can get started.
Also, we are recording. If you prefer not to be recorded, if you have, people looking for you and you don't want to be publicly out there, you know what I mean? Please privately let me know if you prefer to not have your likeliness, your face, or your name anywhere. Okay, Tamika, I see, I understand. The fans do be watching. But yeah, so definitely definitely let me know if you have any discomfort with that. We will be posting up on YouTube for folks to see after. So yeah, all right, so without further ado, let's get into the shits. So we're starting off with, I guess it would be nice to have that graphic sent out. Probably not, it's not that deep. So Netflix has recently put on a couple, or said they would be airing a couple Black sitcoms. Moesha, I believe, is already on there. I think One-on-One, The Parkers, a bunch of Black shows are going to be coming to Netflix. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of wanted to, our first topic is usually the lightest one. And we just want to kind of reminisce a little bit. What do you, if any of these shows, are you excited about and why? And what did they what did these shows signal or mean for you growing up, or what would they mean for you seeing today?
Well, I'm currently making my way through Moesha, and it just makes my soul so happy. I remember really looking up to Brandy when I was younger. I think I watched Moesha back when I was in elementary school, and I just thought that that character was so cool. And just looking back now at these episodes and the topics that they cover, I'm like, they were so ahead of their time. And I'm really glad that more like younger people get to experience it that probably never did before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that. I agree with that, especially from Moesha. I'm glad people get to see who Ray J was. I feel like the Ray J they know now, they really did not. This is where he began, as Moesha's brother. So yeah, that's I'm happy that you're having that nostalgia, for sure.
Yeah, I think Brandy. I don't know. I feel like Brandy's kind of undervalued. I don't know if she gets her props the way she does for the music and the show as well.
I mean, she had Full Moon, you know. That was a good song.
That was a phenomenal song.
That
was a phenomenal.
Oh, I was playing it last night, driving around. Nowhere to go.
I would have started at Full Moon. I mean, she's got, you know, On Top of the World with Mace. You know,
Yeah, she's got top of the world. She got a couple
joints, man. Go for it. I mean, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I had just finished Smart Guy on Disney Plus. I feel like growing up in the '90s, like we had a lot of black sitcoms, like a lot, and like where we weren't like fucked up or some shit. Like we were like prominent people. We were doctors. Like we had good jobs. We had full family households. Like Nickelodeon had like My Brother and Me. I think Disney had we had a lot of shows like nonstop. So like them bringing them back, they're really capitalizing on this movement right now. And I mean, really, I'm just waiting for Sister Sister, honestly. But yeah, if they bring back a few more, I'll be happy because like now, all we really got is Blackish. BET done fell the hell off. So it's like it's nice that and like especially like watching Family Matters. Like she said, the topics that they covered, racism, like you had life lesson episodes. Even if you go to Fresh Prince, like or like any of them shows, like you learned something by the end of the episode. Like it wasn't like it was funny and entertaining, but it was also educational. Like they're timeless, literally. Like they apply all through, and especially now. Like I think I saw a Family Matters episode where like they wrote nigger on his locker. And like they really like tackled racism, like smacking your face. You try to do that now, there's gonna be an uproar where you got to deal with this person and that person. Like TV just really ain't the same of what it used to be growing up in the '90s.
So do we feel like Blackish, Grownish? Do we feel like those are like carrying the torch, or like are they not doing the job?
They're
I'm
doing
seeing a lot of scrunched up faces.
I feel like they're doing what they can do within the constraints. It's just like how like comedians can't make certain jokes now. Like before, everything was free reign. Now we have to put them, him, there, and they in the bottom of your name now to appease certain people. Like it's really.
Well, yeah, I mean that's just to make like certain people feel comfortable. But in terms of like,
that wasn't a thing growing up. There wasn't no him. If he was a he, and if he wasn't, you know, it is what it is, and everybody kept it moving. Now you have to really cater to everything.
I think, well, the issue with that is like we want to just affirm that like these certain types of people exist. That's that. But like with the like topics of the shows though, like I think Blackish does a good job with it, right? Like the Juneteenth episode is a big deal. Like I played that several times for kids for my classes.
So I'll say Blackish is our torchbearer because I saw some other thing on Netflix with I forgot the name of it.
Oh, the Black.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I said, what are they doing here, man?
I will say, so I'm gonna first start with I'm gonna reference this tweet, and we'll not stay on this topic for too long either way. But at Jatella on Twitter said Black 90s sitcoms really revolutionized Black visual cultures of the quotidian, intervening on the idealized representation of the Cosbys, the Jeffersons, Good Times by complicating the notion of Black life as overdetermined by the nuclear family or economic aspiration. And I would say that, like, I think that the progression of Black TV has, I think, gone to, I think in the 90s, I think it was definitely, you know, complicating that. I mean, I do think even shows like Good Times were really, like, challenging notions of just, like, what a steady home life looks like. I remember Janet Jackson's character was on there, and she was talking about being abused, and, you know, and you know, we had, like, a lot of these, like, kind of, not so perfect ideas of like Black families and Black life. And I think, you know, with the 90s, you know, I think we saw like a lot of, I mean, one of my favorite shows, definitely like Martin. I mean, that really wasn't necessarily about the Black family. That was about Black love. And I thought that that was like done in a way that they weren't like, you know, the Cosbys. They weren't like, you know, a lawyer and a doctor. You know what I mean? I mean, he was a hustler. He, you know, had his little talk show. You know what I'm saying? But this whole thing was about trying to make it and make it big. And I thought that that just like showed a really good lens into what love can also be. It can be this continued struggle, like dealing with like the machismo-ness that, you know, Black men want to uphold, but also trying to be respectful and loyal to your woman or your partner. You know what I mean? I think that that like was a very interesting time for also seeing like notions of Black family and Black love. And then, you know, I think this new age we're in, I think it has definitely catered a little bit more to like the Black capitalistic lens, and also like a really progressive, like, you know, version of the Black family that's now like, I hear you on like being like super woke, and sometimes it feels like they're like kind of pandering to like also a white audience that's consuming Black content now, where I feel like in the 90s, like it seemed like it was for Black people. Like people would watch the Parkers and Moesha, and if you were not Black, you would really like be lost throughout that. And I feel like that's not where TV is now. It's kind of open to everyone.
And it's funny that that's the case, because TV generally now is a lot more like siloed, right? Like people have their specific shows that they go to. Like the biggest show that existed that like everyone watches was Game of Thrones. And since then, like there hasn't really been a show like that. So yeah, like shows don't have to pander to like specific audiences. They can be an Insecure where it's like, this is for Black people. They can be for specific audiences, but it's weird how some of these shows aren't that way. And hey.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing a cold call. I'm asking you a question. So we're talking about like Black TV shows back then. Some of them are coming on to Netflix now. What's going on with BET during all of this though? What the hell's going on with them?
Oh, I have no idea.
Like, why don't you think they're capitalizing on any of this? Like, why isn't Insecure on BET? Like, why? What's going on with that?
That's a really good question. I honestly and transparently have zero idea for you.
No clue?
And works with BET?
I don't. I'm a teacher. I also like really don't watch TV, so.
Yes. Yeah. Anyone else want to tackle what's going on with BET during all of this, during like this Black seemingly like
is there room for Insecure when we have plenty enough Baby Boy reruns to like, you know, or Baby Boy episodes to like,
I thought BET was making their own streaming service.
They have their own, yeah.
I haven't seen any promotion for it.
BET has the right type of, I believe it's...
Junior, tapping in. Junior got something to say? So it sounds like I heard him.
I'm out on a walk real quick, so let me know if you can hear me all right. But I actually saw a tweet recently that was talking about BET and how they kind of dropped the bag because they don't get a chance to really showcase like all of the facets of the Black experience when you think about like Black cooks or chefs or like a cooking show or like a show that kind of shows a different dynamic of the Black experience outside of just like almost like these archetypes and these stereotypes that get perpetuated through like, you know, drama or abuse within relationships and shit like that. And so I do think that it brought me to a point where I was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, why the fuck don't they use their platform to just do like some regular ass programming that actually talks a little bit more kind of well-rounded in their approach?
Garrison, you go say something.
I was saying, I know that BET has the rights to, it might be Fresh Prince, but to that point, I know, like Junior said, they definitely dropped the ball in, you know, capitalizing and monopolizing the market on the 90s sitcoms, because BET isn't a standalone entity, right? They're owned by a larger white corporation,
right? And
whoever's at the head of that should have been the person pushing, especially with BET Plus being their streaming service. Turn that off.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna search you. Looking for a hub for, you know, Black entertainment, because that's your name. But for years now, since, you know, the days of 106 and Park, they haven't been the cultural leaders of where you go to find Black content.
Yeah, that's a big point he made there. After 106 and Park, it was all downhill for BET. It was just Medea. That's it. And a whole bunch of cookouts and family reunions.
Yeah, there definitely is an opportunity to tap into. Junior made a good point, like, yeah, just like a cooking show, like a Black cooking show, or like a Black travel show, right? Like just there's a person just going around the world to different locations. It's weird, like different networks, HBO, other places have taken those shows that could have been on BT, and then like Instagram has also done it, right? Like a ton of Instagram accounts exist where Black people are cooking, where Black people are traveling, like Black people doing lifestyle, having like lifestyle accounts, and yeah, BT just seems to be dropping the ball with it. But we make the point it is owned by a white-owned corporation, so are they really even for us in the first place? That's
Imagine if you could watch something like Survivor or a cooking show.
A Black Survivor? Wait, hold.
Imagine not having to choose one Black person to root for when you watch TV.
A Black Survivor is so simple, but it sounds brilliant. Why? Wait.
Oh, Survivor Nigeria. That would be amazing.
Survivor Nigeria! No, that actually would sell. But
everybody get kidnapped.
I think that's, the issue, and it's not just within TV, it's, in entertainment, it's in media, I mean, it's in music, like, these white superstructures that ultimately control what is put out there, and all the kind of critiques and all the issues and all the problems there, right? We know that those exist. We know that, like, even when it comes to music, the artists who are able to express their true thoughts and express like positive affirmations and things that are really like are oftentimes independent or signed to Jay-Z, or someone who can give them the artistic freedom to be able to express themselves. And that's the thing. Like, I was watching the Bobby Shmurda, I guess performance where he was auditioning, I guess, for his label, and he's on but that's essentially what it looks like to present Black lives to a company, to pitch a Black show, right? We know that like people like Issa Rae had a hard time going from awkward Black girl to Insecure, and had to like kind of fight to say, no, this is the story that we want to tell. This is how we want to capture Blackness. And as amazing as that show is, people who doubted it from the jump, and just because HBO was able to say, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and try it here. So I think that part of it's like, we'd love that, and we as Black people here, Survivor Nigeria, we get it. But imagine going to an all-white boardroom and being like, no, because like they're Nigerian, and so they be like talking like this, and they be getting into these kind of shenanigans, and just a bunch of white people just saying like, yeah, I don't get it. Is this gonna be like Flavor of Love? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how are we gonna be able to get the thing that we know that works? And I think that that's one of the challenges in that space.
Yeah. All right. I think we can move on. So, obviously, a lot of folks have heard about Meg herself has like talked about it. There was an incident with Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. Meg Thee Stallion was shot. And just the response on social media has just been really, really interesting. So I was wondering, anybody can jump in and share. What were your thoughts on the reaction to it? Not necessarily what happened. We obviously know what happened was like terrible and scary, and we're glad that Meg is okay. But like, what do people think about how like the internet, social media was responding to what happened initially?
The internet's full of a lot of trolls.
That is true.
There's a lot of trolling going on. I can't really speak on the internet because I've kind of been off social media, but from what I saw via Meg's response and how she handled it, I think she handled it very professionally. She had a lot of class in the way she handled it. It didn't, like, the expectation is like just a mad Black woman who's just gonna do mad ratchet shit and like blah 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 whatever. But she was like extra professional about it. Like, there was no like, I don't know, maybe there's like a clause where she's not supposed to speak on it or something, but she kept it very vague. It wasn't like she was like, Tory shot me. Like, even still, did she say Tory shot her?
I don't know if she came out outright and said it. She said she was shot.
So even to this day, we really don't even know if Tory shot her.
Sure.
I think regardless, like, the fact that trolls are able to carry the conversation is the problem, right? Like, where is everybody else? Where are all the other celebrities? Where are all the activists that, like, fight and argue for everybody else in this situation? Because regardless whether Tory shot her or not, she was shot.
Right.
And, like, that's not okay. And I actually think that it's unfortunate that her response had to be so poised. Because, like, if it's me, if I'm shot, I'm going crazy. And I'm talking all the shit in the world on the internet and everywhere.
Like, Hamid, what do you mean by she was very professional and she wasn't like ratchet or whatever the case might be? Because Angela said, like, if I'm shot, like, I'm supposed to, like, it's a requirement for me to like maintain my composure and all this other stuff to protect somebody else, like when I was the one that was in the wrong. Like, can you unpack that statement? She was very professional and poised.
So in the sense that the persona that Mag Thee Stallion gives is she's a rapper. She's like, you know, raw, raunchy, you know, can we agree on that? That's what Meg Thee Stallion, that's the energy she exudes?
That's not the only way to define her. I mean,
no, but in a sense, that's her character. She's raw, like she's from the streets. She's street, she's hood. And
I don't put those labels. Like, I wouldn't identify her as that.
What would you identify her as?
I just wouldn't limit her to just.
No, I'm not limiting her. I'm talking about the persona she gives off. She's a rapper. It's not like she's an Alicia Keys singer or something. Like, she's raw, like raw, gritty.
I definitely understand like the rap persona that, like, you know, she conveys in her music, but I think what like this experience did and should unearth for, like, I think that's what some people here are referring to, like, you know, knowing that there's more to her than who she is in her music. And I think
this is not to label her in the sense of saying poise. Just like she said, if I got shot, I'm wilding out. So to get shot and still be poised,
but see, I think
calculating about your response, like, it's not like she thought about it. From what came out, it seems like everything she said, she thought about it before she said it. She didn't just go off.
It seemed like
some people react and some people don't. Like, they think before they react. And she didn't just react.
If she had just went off, would her reaction have been less valid? Like, is her reaction more valid?
Not at all. I'm just saying the way she carried herself was very poised.
Right, but that
doesn't take away from her at all.
That she carries herself as not being poised. I kind of read the situation from an immigration perspective, because Tory Lanez is not American. And I feel like, you know, the way you're talking about Meg is like maybe not recognizing how smart she is in knowing her hip hop history. So Slick Rick, you know, was deported and has struggled to get back into the U.S. Because he's not American. And so I think, you know, whether it was a mistake or not, whether the gun went off or not, an error, or Tory doesn't know how to like hold a strap, like the reality is that Tory is an immigrant in America. And we know now, like, even if you're in the process of getting your citizenship and you have a gun, the shit is over. And so to me, it was almost an act of solidarity to not say anything about him or what he did, because we could lose somebody's presence and really their artistry. Because like once you lose the American market, the shit is over, right? Like you're not selling unless you're selling in America. And the way you sell in America is by being able to step foot here and tour. And that's something that's gone completely unacknowledged. We are not on even playing fields. There are those of us who were born here and those of us who weren't. And how do we honor and protect those of us who weren't, even if they make mistakes? And I think that's something that has completely been ignored in the headlines and the stories about what happened.
Yeah, she was really incredibly, thank you for that point. She was very, very thoughtful with her response to not incriminate anybody outright, right? Because even right now, none of us can clearly say who did what, right? Like, which leads me to the next thing. In talking about instances like this, whether it's this instance of violence or when we talk about Chris Brown's act of violence, there's this idea of like wanting to hear both sides. Like people will say like, we just need to get all the context or get all the facts. I'm just wondering how people feel when they hear situations, hear that scenario or hear that sentence or phrase. Like, let's talk about this one specifically, right? Like if someone were to say like, oh, we need to make sure we get all the facts or hear both sides. Like what do people think when they hear someone say that?
Yo, can I jump in real quick?
Go for it.
So I know we had this conversation in our group text, and I was going back and forth with a lot of people. And I actually want to tie some of the pieces that were mentioned initially. And I think one, it's a general kind of assumption that Black women have to hold their responsibilities and be on the behalf and support and carry us as Black men through this process. Even when we talk about this immigration status conversation, right? Like the fact that Megan had to have the conscious of mind to be able to be thinking about his future before he made any of these decisions, right? That suggests to me we need to do better. I think along with this, and one of the issues that I had with the conversation we were having in our group text is that often when you hear you need to listen to the other perspective is because you don't want to trust Black women. You don't want to trust Black women as victims and as people that have been abused in this country, right? And so I don't need to listen to anything more than the fact that she was shot to suggest that that wasn't the way to go about it. I don't need to listen from Tory Lanez's perspective. I don't need to listen from anyone on his entourage. I know that that level of violence isn't necessary at any point in time. But I think a lot of the times that is used to rationalize abuse and justify like not believing women. Because then men will say stuff like, oh, well, most women will lie just so that they can get clout or they can get money or they can get this. But the percentage of women that lie as victims is significantly less than the percentage of women that are abused in this country, which is 1 out of 3. So let's be real.
I have a quick question.
Hold on. I want to
mic drop
up for women to respond, women to add on, women to contribute.
Well, one thing I do want to say is I got the sense that people did not take this seriously until she got on her live and she started crying and breaking down. And all of a sudden it was, oh my God, you know, she had so much loss in her life. And it's like, none of that shit mattered. Once that she was shot, that should have been like the concern. And it shouldn't have been a joke and a meme and people being like, oh shit, I didn't know this was serious. My bad, I'm sorry.
So I have a question, and like I said, I don't really be on social media like that. So is it a fact that she, you know, knew whatever, that this whole immigration status stuff, like, is that a fact? Is that something she said or something that like, cause like, or is this all just speculation that she kept her composure or she said the things the way she said it because she didn't want Tory to get deported?
So, I mean, I think in general, like the things that people are offering in terms of like explaining reasons why she might have like worked.
Oh, so nobody exactly knows then.
But I think that ultimately what she didn't do was say what, you know, she obviously could say, which is who shot her. And I think that ultimately, no matter what the justification was, whether it's a street thing, whether it's a deportation thing, there's obviously a protecting of the story, whether it's for legal reasons or other reasons. There is a choice where you could go on social media and you can out somebody. And the problem and the issue that's happening with this whole question of speculation is that, you know, there's not an understanding that despite not having to, she is taking some form of protecting the story, protecting what everyone has already decided happened. She could just say, yes, you are right. She could nudge people in that direction that Tory did that, and then he would be canceled. He would be all of these things, and that isn't happening. And so I think there is just an acknowledgement that she is actually, despite being the victim here, still in this state that she's in and still being a victim in the way that she is, she's still protecting him to an extent. And so that's the thing that I think is like, whether it's for one reason or the other, nonetheless true. We've seen it in hip hop. We've seen people out people snitch, all these kinds of things in a similar predicament. And that's not what's happening here. And so I think that's just reality. No one knows the details of why, but we know that's for a fact. She could be saying exactly what happened. And it's completely in her right and not illegal for her to do so. She's not the one who's facing charges. So I think that's just a reality.
Word. And then, did you want to, someone else want to jump in?
I wanted to just ask a quick question, everybody. Do you think, so this conversation kind of started with her being poised, right, and her response. Do you think that people would have responded as seriously as they did if she would have just popped off on her Instagram Live? How do you think people would have responded to her if she would have done that, given the fact that they were already trolling her?
Like if she came out like aggressive on it, right? Like a normal reaction on it. Is that your question?
Yeah. So if she just pops off on Instagram Live talking about mad shit, just like reacting hella tight about the entire situation like a lot of us would, how do you think people would respond to that? How do you think they would explain that? How do you think that would work out, in your opinion?
People would have took it more seriously right off the bat. Because like Ann said, you get shot. I don't know a lot of people are gonna really keep their composure. Either it's gonna be shock or you wilding out. One of the two. It's very rare, I think, that you'll have someone who keeps their composure during a certain, like, a situation of that magnitude. So I think if she came off right off the bat, there would have probably been less memes about, I mean, it's the internet, man. People don't take a lot of things seriously, which is that's just the world we live in now. Like, everything's a joke to people. Whether as serious as it is, people turn into a joke. You had the little kid Tory Lane joints or whatever, like, but I think there would have been just a higher there would have been more sympathy towards her before the whole crying on IG Live thing. But
I want to target.
No,
please.
There might have been more sympathy, but I don't know. It's hard to say whether that's true or not, because that question actually makes me think about the Rihanna Chris Brown situation, for example, where she wasn't as protective and she was like, this is what happened. And then immediately there was a bunch of speculation as far as like, well, what did she say to get him to punch her in the face? Or like, she Caribbean woman, so she was probably popping off at the mouth. And then he was like, "Kak, kak." And you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if people would have necessarily had a lot more sympathy. And then there's also, what also plays in my head is like conversations that I have with people where it's just like, you hear about a woman who was like sexually assaulted or whatever. And then there's like this immediate reaction of like, well, what was she wearing? Well, why was she wearing that? And it's like the onus constantly has to be on the woman to kind of like police herself and like do all of these things to kind of protect the ego and the feelings or whatever of the man. So I don't know if I feel like her being more vocal about it up front would have gotten a different reaction from people, because I feel like historically people, like, we see a lot of people questioning women. Well, what is it that you did to get that man to do that? Which is very toxic.
I don't think it applies to when you get shot. Like, when people get shot, it's like, yo, you don't question, like, you got shot. Like, I don't think it applies to that.
Well, part of the narrative too was that Meg was accosting him, and because of the size difference, you know, he's 5, however, and she's the stallion, like, that he was some sort of the victim prior to the shooting. So had she come out and been even more aggressive, I think it would have backfired on her, in a sense of like, here you go, now this is why he shot her, like giving people reason to put the onus back on her, because no one knows what happened in the car, no one's saying anything. But a part of the narrative and the story and rumor was that she was getting on him either verbally about whatever happened at the party, and that's the reason that, you know, the next thing happened.
We'll go with the story that he shot her. It's not that he hit her, he shot her. To shoot somebody, the levels of that you have to be so high to shoot somebody, that's crazy. No one's gonna validate somebody shooting somebody.
It takes 2 seconds. Like Carla said, like, rape happens and people still find excuses, right?
Yeah.
I think you guys is going off the stereotypes that you hear here and there. Like, I don't think nobody's really validating stuff like that anymore. Well, like, we hear that a lot, but
nah, bro. I mean, it happened in our group. It happened in our group among like educated men.
Yeah.
Where we were talking about this and people were logicking and mental gymnasticking it into something else.
And
we've heard that stereotype for how many years now? Like, oh, what was she wearing? This and that, third. I think that line is played out now.
Okay, so I want to ask the question, especially around Black men's response. And I think that a lot of what's being brought up right now, and I mean, you said this like specifically, like, you know, the way that she reacted to it, and feelings about, well, if it happened this way, you would expect a certain reaction. I think that really gets at the heart of one of these things about, yes, as people have mentioned, like the policing, the reactions. There seems that like she has to fight for credibility based off how she has reacted to the situation. And obviously we see this as well when it comes to sexual abuse. Like, well, if it had happened the way that she said it happened, then she would have reported it. And like, there's this, exactly as Garrison is mentioning, like, there's this way you have to comport yourself as a victim that has to happen in a way, you said, Hamid, like, in order for her to get sympathy. And so I guess the question is just generally, especially towards men of color, why can't we just stand up and defend our women right when they say that there's a problem. Because I know for a fact, and I don't like when people do this to talk about why they are feminists, etc. like that. If your sister came home to you and said, I don't know if you have a sister or not, said, so-and-so beat me up, you would not say, okay, well, what did you do? I don't know. The way you're responding, you seem so calm, right? So why don't we jump up in arms to defend our Black women publicly, who we don't know, who we're not connected to, who we're not attracted to, who are not in our lives the way we would in our real lives? I want to ask as a general question to, and other people who are not men can respond. Why do you think that? Like, I really want to know how we can have this conversation about our protection of women.
By not policing the way that they respond to abuse, by not having questions about what they did to deserve this kind of treatment, by listening.
Why don't we do these things? What are we afraid of? Is it other men seeing us and saying, yo, you're only doing that to try and, curry favor with women? Is it we're seen as weak because we're believing and defending? What is it that stops us from being able to say, you know what, I believe it?
Ultimately, like the way patriarchy works is that like it's men policing other men or men encouraging other men. So it's like this really weird network that exists, that even if you see a man doing some weird shit and you don't know him, like you're less likely to say something, just because we're all like performing masculinity, and the minute you call another man out for doing something, then like you're like breaking some sort of code or like making it weird. Like now you as the man who's calling it out are the weird one, as opposed to somebody doing something creepy, right? So it all comes like to continuing the performance and like perpetuating this idea of like masculinity or patriarchy and what it means, and like letting other men get away with it and not saying anything about it. I've been in situations where like I've seen guys doing weird shit, and it's like, and it like I had a hard time saying something about it, and it took me like the next day to say something, right? Like just because I couldn't bring myself to do it for some reason.
It's definitely multi-layered, and I think a part of what it is like the narrative that we've all been raised on. Even when we want to help, right? Like we don't step in until it's a relative, right? Like the analogy you gave, Aya, of what if your sister did, right? But if we just normalize it, like what if a Black woman was hurt in front of you? What do you do? And it's really about the way that we go about our relationships. Like Kabir said, we're performing for other men to not seem like we're on the woman's side, because that would make you something different than what you're supposed to be, in some essence. But if we were to get away from like how to help in only the women that are attractive, only the women that are saintly, only the women that are related to us, if we were to just help, I think that's how we get away from it. And the reason we're stuck in this is because of only help the one that you're related to, or the one you're attracted to, or the one that comes off with the best story. Everything else we kind of push to the side and question until we get concrete terms.
There's
anything else.
There's recently been a few survivors who shared their story about like instances of sexual assault at the University of Rhode Island, and there's been conversations in another group chat, man. I'm in it with Hamid and some other guys, and like again, the conversation is very much oriented around the woman and like how she's sharing her story. Like, why does she go on social media to share this? Why didn't she go to the police? Like, why didn't she do this? Why did she do that? Why did she wait so long? Actually, this girl's kind of sketchy. She's always, you know what I mean? Like, those are the questions that are being posited, as opposed to what the fuck were these guys doing? Or like, was this happening when we were on campus? Could we have potentially stopped it? Like, those aren't the questions we're asking. And yeah, just like, we need to change that orientation. We need to change the way we think about the things. Because even now, right, like all of our conversation has been about Meg, as opposed to like, the fuck is Tory doing? You know what I mean? Like, what is he, like, what's up with him? Like, why has he come out with a statement? Like, has he apologized to her? Like, what is he doing? I'm confused. And there's obviously legal constraints that maybe he can't say certain things, but
everybody's quiet.
I just want to quickly kind of like get in here and just say, like, I think one of the things that we struggle with, even in hearing us as men talk about this issue, is that we don't actually call it what it is, right? Like, we have to acknowledge that the reason why we struggle with holding down Black women is the fact that, like, in identifying violence and in abuse, we're also identifying when we've been complicit and when we've been abusers. And we haven't been able to come to terms with the fact that we have abused women, and that we will continue to do so until we hold ourselves accountable to that process, right? So in me being able to hold another man accountable, especially when it's someone that I consider a homie, then I have to be able to understand that my lack of emotion or my lack of care for that person would also be represented in that, right? Like, I have to come to terms with the fact that I can't be emotionless, that I can't always, go and lead with anger, because that's the reason why we justify what men do, is that we constantly respond and lead with anger. So then our response isn't that that person was abused. Our response was like, what did you do to trigger that anger, right? So we don't reconcile that shit within ourselves. We'll never be able to hold someone else accountable. We'll never be able to name what it is. We'll say that it was just like they were flirting, or they were chilling, or I'm sure she got, all up in his shit and like this and that, right? So we use all this coded language instead of saying, nah, that's abuse, that's sexual assault, that's literally using a deadly weapon. You don't go to those levels without having some really lack of reconciliation internally, right? And so I think the reason why I'm very adamant about this, and why I was very adamant in our group text, is that like, nah, that mental gymnastics bullshit and like all of this other stuff that we put on women makes it incredibly difficult for them to ever navigate it. Because like, what I would have thought if Megan didn't respond the way that she did was they would have called her the angry black woman. She would have fit another trope, right? And then it would have further justified why people wanted to hear from Tori, rather than us saying, yo, Tori, what the fuck are you doing? And what are we doing that's meant to hold ourselves and our community accountable?
I'm gonna have to disagree with that last part of the statement. I'm very serious. Like, someone got shot here. There's no way you're gonna say someone's an angry black woman. She got shot. Like, we're not validating someone getting shot. Anybody gets shot is very serious. It's a very serious thing.
But I mean, we saw people joke about it. Like, I don't know.
That's the internet. But I'm saying, us as a core group here, I think we can realize, yo, if someone gets shot, it's not a joke.
Wait, but you keep
we're
saying,
having a conversation where we're saying listen to black women, and 3 black women, or at least as much as I can see, are in this Zoom call literally saying that this problem persists of people not listening, and you're literally not listening. You're literally not listening.
What am I not listening to?
That these things still happen. People still question women and ask them things like, what were you wearing? What did you do? These questions still persist whenever women are saying that something happened to them. We are women. We still experience this to this day. The women in this Zoom call, we are saying that this happens, and you are still saying that you don't believe it. So
no.
what are we talking about?
You're not listening.
You're not listening.
Because
you're not listening, Hamid. You're not listening.
So, all right. So, Carla, you can unmute yourself. Cool. All right. Say what you said. If you want to reiterate your point really quickly, or if you're done, then that's cool.
No, I'm just saying, like, you can't say that that stereotype is played out, because it's not. And we're literally telling you that it's not.
Yeah, no, sorry. But yeah, I mean, like, that, in general, like, I don't understand. We're saying that, like, you're saying that that's an old way of thinking, using those excuses, like, people use, but, like, again, like, I've heard it recently. Again, there's women here who said they heard it recently. Like,
I'm not saying it's played out. I'm saying in the sense of when someone gets shot, it's not a joking matter. Yes, jokes have been made.
And I hear you, and everyone here agrees that getting shot is not a joke. But then we're also saying we looked on the internet and saw people joking about it. So, like, I don't like.
I said the same thing.
That happened, right? So, like, that piece happened. Clearly, people weren't taking seriously enough. Her coming out, expressing how serious it is, was the thing that triggered people and got people to understand, like, oh yeah, you did get shot. Maybe we should take this a little more seriously. And it took her being emotional, crying, talking about her family, doing other stuff that she shouldn't have to do, right? Because again, she was shot. Like, that's it.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying no matter what her response is, whether she came out wild, whether she came out poised, the fact that she got shot, she should have been taken seriously from the jump. That's what I'm saying.
I will say,
I'm not devaluing that it happens every day that women get objectified on, oh, what were you doing to make them do this? I'm saying because she got shot, even if anything happened, but the fact that she got shot, to that point, right off the bat, nothing else matters. Like, yo, she got shot. Whether she came out crazy or whatever you want to say it is, it's a serious matter right there, right off the bat. Like,
but I will say, and we do have to move on. But first I will say that, I mean, you did earlier say that, like, if she had comported herself differently when she spoke up, people would have given her more sympathy. Like, that's literally what you were saying, and it's different from what you're saying now. But I think I would just want to thank.
Yeah, I was saying there probably would have been less jokes.
Right, but that's the point that they're making, right? Like, that it wasn't like as serious, and you're saying now that people, took it like they weren't. People were joking, and it wasn't just the internet. People literally felt, as you expressed, that people would have given more sympathy. She would have deserved more sympathy if she comported herself differently. And I mean, I just want to thank the Black women for speaking up. And I know that this is a sensitive issue, a personal issue. I want to thank the men for, acknowledging, particularly Junior, for acknowledging what we really do need to do in terms of holding ourselves and each other accountable. We are, a reality, Hamid, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'm also speaking to us as Black and brown men. We see ourselves in Tory. That's a reality. We acknowledge the ways in which we have not taken care. We have been the aggressor. That is a thing we, whether it's consciously or not, see in that. And that's where a lot of our defense comes from. And we do have to unpack that. As Junior said, we have to talk amongst ourselves. We have to interrogate ourselves. We need to go to therapy and understand that so we can actually work against this. But, I want to leave room for some, last comments on this. We do want to move on to the last one. And again, we're going to come back next, in 2 weeks, and we're going to have more of this. So hopefully y'all be here for that. But really productive conversation. I hope, although it got tense and heated, I hope there's still respect and understanding and a desire to be in dialogue together, hopefully continue.
Did anyone else want to say anything? I know we do have a last topic. I do want to kind of pose this other question or thought.
Please take it away.
Cool. So we're obviously talking about this idea of violence on behalf of violence done by Black men, how society, how the Black community reacts to Black women. So then Drea came out and said that she wants a kind of relationship like that. She wants a partner that's going to shoot her or commit some sort of violence against her. And that idea definitely persists, this idea you're not really in love with someone until there's some sort of confrontation or violence that exists between y'all. Why does that still exist? Why is that still a thing? Does anyone want to jump in and comment?
So I was listening to another podcast the other day, and the commentator basically said, if you're looking for love in a loveless place, then you don't know that it's missing, right? So if Drea sees a relationship that is toxic and harmful, and that's her norm in what she's been told or what she sees as normal around her, then seeing something like that happen is just oh yeah, I'm accepting of that. So not for her particularly, but people who have those sentiments and those thoughts, if you don't know love to a different degree and you're looking for it, then you're going to be looking in the wrong places. So I'm not surprised that she would identify that. Whether seriously or jokingly, a lot of people do feel that way to certain degrees. Maybe not shoot me, but we know people who have those thoughts.
Other folks? Okay. We all in healthy, productive relationships. Shout outs to y'all.
I'll chime in. I'll chime in. I think that yes, toxicity and relationship trauma is something that has been normalized by a lot of folks, whether it's through their direct experiences, whether it's through their friends, family, what we see on TV. That does become something that feels like normal, to have someone who is aggressive, to have someone who is controlling. Yes, and the patriarchy is directly responsible. And the patriarchy does put out these notions that this is what a relationship should look and should feel like. It should have this feeling of desperation, it have this feeling of need and dependency, no matter how problematic your partner is, usually the male partner. And so I think that a lot of it is this stuff that we've normalized, and I think that Drea is just reproducing a narrative that we've seen and we've watched, we've experienced before.
Yeah. It's again, yeah, it does all come down to thank you, Asia, for just making that really plain for us. Yeah, it all comes back to patriarchy, right? Like until men are able to sit, reflect, look internally, think about the harm we've done, and then like begin to redefine it, checking other men in the process, like yeah, like unfortunately things like this will continue, and unfortunately our understanding of like what love looks like will continue. Reading this book, We Real Cool, and I'm in this reading group with a bunch of with a few other Black men, and our understanding of like how we think about like love and desire and loving ourselves is something that we really need to sit and think about. Something I've struggled with. Like I said, I've had experiences where I've seen things and haven't necessarily said things. And like it still bothers me. So like again, and there's been instances I know I've been complicit. So like it's something I have to work on myself. And I can guarantee that men in the room have had similar experiences. And it's difficult, but it's work that's necessary. Because ultimately we need to think and redefine how we have relationships with ourselves, other Black men, Black women, before we do anything. Because then we'll perpetuate the same system that exists that we're trying to destroy right now. Which leads me to the last point. You were going to jump in.
On the last topic?
Yeah, last topic.
Oh, you know what? I think I'd rather end this on, just going around, we talked a lot about the things that are wrong with our world, are wrong with as men, things that we need to really address, the patriarchy being number one and all the ways that it impacts us. So we know how we're going to try and heal. So just I wanted to hear from everybody, how you plan on loving yourself within the next week. Anything that you are planning on doing, you're hoping to do, you want to do, you should do, and you haven't got around to. How will you love yourself in the next week? Hamid, let's start with you, brother.
I was going to say, we should start off with you.
Nah, let's start with you.
I'm ready to asshole the group. I already love myself, but I've taken it upon myself as of lately to do more research. One of the things I'm gonna share a small story real quick. I'll try to be short. I'm known to be a long storyteller already. I didn't know about love languages. One time I was walking with one of my friends and she was like, "Oh, Hamid, do you know about love languages?" And I was like French or whatever. And she started laughing because she thought I was joking, but I was dead ass serious. Like, I thought she meant French. So, I did my research, figured out what my love language was, whatever. Because like, I personally never been in like love. Like I've liked people, I've had strong like. So I think to better myself or self-care for myself, I've just been doing more research on stuff I'm not as familiar with or whatever. So that way, I can have a better understanding of people and stuff like that.
Dope. Love to hear it, brother. Love to hear it. And what about you?
So I grew up in a super Caribbean household, so therapy was real taboo. But I got myself a little therapist, and I have therapy this week, so I'm real excited about that.
Hey, snaps at therapy. Is it virtual?
Also, excuse me?
Virtual or in person?
It's virtual, but it's a Black woman. She's dope, so I'm real excited.
Shout out to therapy. Shout out to Black women therapists. Love to see it. Love to hear it. Nick Jagger. You're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute.
How am I gonna love myself? I don't know. I really haven't thought about that. Or I haven't thought about how I could put that into play. I think I need to write more. Like keep a journal entry. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I used to keep a nice little journal. It had some jokes in it. It had some things about myself I used to put in there. I probably need to bring that back.
Nothing to it but to do it. Give yourself 5 minutes one day, man.
I might throw that in there. Again.
Throw it in there, brother. Junior, what's up with you, Mr. President?
Nah. Yo, actually, so this weekend I'm gonna go head down and visit my mom. So that's how I'm gonna be able to love myself, get some good home cooked meals, and kick it with her, and just be able to vibe for a little bit. So outside of that, though, I've just been walking, working out as much as I possibly can, and reading, just kind of trying to feed myself as much as possible while doing all this virtual work.
Yeah, respect. seeing mothers is critical, especially those of us that have them in our lives still. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Carla, what's up with you?
Me?
That's you.
Well, I kind of already had my little come to Jesus moment last week. So this week I'm committing to just meal prepping and exercising more regularly, because I've had a very up and down relationship with food and just like taking out a lot of trauma on my body. So that's how I plan on, you know, loving myself, is like, I'm gonna stop ordering cheeseburgers on Uber Eats when I'm stressed, and instead I'm gonna cook a wholesome meal, because you are what you eat, and your food really can change your mood. So yeah.
I love to hear it. Listen, I've been meal prepping this summer, first time endeavor for me, but I have a bunch of recipes on some low carb stuff that's really, really good. I got some cheesy broccoli for me tonight, bunch of good stuff. So if you need some tips, you know, I'm on the internet, on the socials, holla. Acosta, brother man, if you're still there, I will come back to him. Garrison.
I need to get some sleep. It's been really hard for me to get into a proper sleep regimen. I had Zoom meeting for work this morning and felt like crap. So for me to be better for all the work that's going to take to get back into gear this year, I think that's my priority. But knowing myself, I'll probably take another 2 weeks to kind of actually kick it into gear. But it's on my mind to get more sleep.
Hopefully you can do that. It's not that hard, you know what I mean? It's the close of the eyes, you know what I'm saying? Every problem, everything you got to deal with, it'll be there tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? Jules, what's up?
Hi, guys. So those of you who know me, I can be like social and antisocial all at the same time.
Hey,
but I think part of my self-care will just be spending more time with myself and getting to know myself a little bit more. And also exercising. Like, I'm out of breath just talking to you guys, and that's not even normal. So I'm going to start exercising.
Respect.
That's it.
I definitely get the social, antisocial, Jewel. One time we were at a party, she asked me how my day was. And as soon as I started responding, she turned around. So, you know, I definitely have see this social.
Wait, is that Jewel?
Yeah, that's Jewel. You should know that from the video.
I thought she does it on purpose, honestly.
Tolu.
What?
She did the anti-social thing on purpose.
Tolu, you here? Maybe not. Asia, Madam Garcia.
Hi, everyone. Like Nick, I'm going to commit to writing in my journal every day for this month and hoping I can keep that promise to myself. And yeah, just be better at keeping promises to myself, whether it's exercising or making sure I get outside, because it's hard to get a walk in when you're working from home. So yeah.
Yo, Asia, can we be accountability partners on that too? Because I would like to do the journaling thing as well.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Lovely. Brillante.
Yo, I'm here. My computer wouldn't let me speak for some reason. My bad.
What the hell?
He would have been the villain of the day.
Tell me, what the hell, man?
Yo, no, my computer wouldn't let me speak. It was weird. I just figured it out.
How convenient. How convenient.
Yes. No, first time joining. Great conversation. Definitely plan on speaking up next time. How I'm going to make myself happy? Like, it's a difficult question because I've been figuring that out. I've been trying to figure that out every day I'm awake. I guess today, after I finish studying, just go to sleep, try to get a good night's rest anyways, be fresh for the morning, or be fresh for tomorrow.
Yo, important. Love to see it, love to hear it. Mr. Estrada.
Hey guys. So I think for me, I've been avoiding this like huge assignment for about a year now. Literally just like a narrative of the many, I guess, the different experiences and situations in my life that have led me to be the educator that I am today. And it's like the one thing that's keeping me from getting my master's. So hopefully working on that and actually doing it for me and not just as a requirement since it is supposed to be a narrative. So we'll see how that goes, and then hopefully getting some reading on too. So.
Yo. In full support, bruv. Okay, Kabir.
Hopefully journaling, that's a big thing. Running has been my thing fairly consistently. My goal is to do 100 miles this month. I've done it before, but like haven't in the last couple months. So hopefully I can like get up to that this time around.
Wait, 100 miles one day this month?
Yes, 100 miles in one day, jackass. No.
Obviously. Love to hear it. I'll go lastly. I think just like one thing I do is I'm a loving person. I invest myself in a lot of people around me that I love. And I think to love myself, I can't just give it to everybody. So I just want to invest more time in the people who love me back. And who get a return on my investment. So really looking at loving folks who can return that investment. Kabir is asking, loving? Where? Okay, obviously not to you. Anyway, thank you all for coming here. We really, really appreciate having you all. Thank you for dropping your stuff. We're gonna try and get you all out an email or hit you up on socials. But if you follow us, you'll see we'll try to upload a doc that has all you guys' socials on it, and we'll probably put it in our bios.
Social security?
Sorry, say again?
Socials like social security?
Yes, we will publish your social security information out to the public. Of course, it won't be free of charge. But thank you all for pulling up. Thank you all for a fruitful, productive discussion and energetic and engaging. Really loved it all. Hopefully we'll see you all in 2 weeks. We'll put all the content, the topics and stuff like that out, ideally the Monday before, preferably a little bit before that, but how we get stuff together. Kabir, any last words?
No, thank y'all so much, man. Really appreciate it. Have a great week. Hold yourselves accountable. Be safe out there, man.
Yes, hold yourself accountable, especially like men, protect some Black and brown women. You know what I'm saying? All women, really, but particularly make sure you look out for our Black and brown women. All right. Peace out, everyone.
All right, y'all.
Coming.